What's good? I am Yish, and today we're going to take a look at Abbey Road 1 Orchestra Foundations by Spitfire Audio. Abbey Road 1. The interface, as you can see, is pretty simplistic. It's not a whole lot of stuff going on. It is resizable, right? So that is a plus. So speaking of the interface, let's just go through it real quick. At the very top, you have information spit out, right? So we're using a total of 12 gigs. And I believe that's for all of the libraries that is loaded. Now I got 32, so I have plenty of headroom left in that regard. Your CPU output, your disk output, how many voices is currently playing. Over here is what MIDI channel you want to have this triggered from. You can do tuning, you can do panning, volume, and then you have some extra little things over here. So you have the ability to change the dynamics, the velocity. Of course, you can change the velocity mapping is for your keyboard. CC mappings, you can reset them here. I will not touch that. Short releases allow you to stop a note, and it can either be timed or untimed or none, which means it'll just sustain according to how you have the plugin set. And then I believe the sync to tempo is in cahoots with the timing here. Don't quote me. And then of course you have some options that you can get into. You can copy settings, change some things about the interface, some audio settings, and then your default library. All right, in the audio settings, this is something I found out at the very last minute, right before I hit record on this video. Keep this in mind. If you start getting dropouts or glitches while playing back your composition, then your preload size may need to be adjusted. Some of these other settings may need to be adjusted as well, but the preload size fixed that. I literally was pulling my hair out trying to figure out, why does this keep cutting notes off? It was killing the whole thing. And I had it set to its minimum, which is 12.288. And I believe this depends on where you have your library stored. Now I have this stored on an SSD, but I think the system just wasn't keeping up with it. So I changed it to 50,000 based off of my research on the forum, and that allowed everything to stay nice and clean. So what do we have here? We also have our instrument selection here. You can filter them based off of what you're looking for here. So we got woodwinds, the full orchestra, strings, brass. Now this doesn't come with a whole lot of instruments. As a matter of fact, this is pretty much it, right? There are articulations for each one. The drum selection does have some additional things in it, but pretty much this is everything that you get, right? You have orchestra, which is the full orchestra in one library, right? Everybody playing at the same time. Your high strings, your low strings, you get trumpets, you get the horn section, and you get the low brass section. Your high woods, your low woods, percussion, drums, the metals, tuned percussion, and then ensembles. All right, and that's just generally the basic stuff, right? All right, we have the expression pedal here. All right, you have the dynamics, very important, and it's a large part of the flexibility of this plugin. This dial here allows you to modify parameters. If you click on the center circle, you'll get some additional options that you can modify with this dial, right? So if I click on that, right now it's set to reverb. You can change it to tightness, or we can change it to release, and you can modify it with that. With the tightness, the higher you go up, the more on the one everything is. That could be useful in certain situations, I think, particularly when you want everything to hit at the one. Next, we have the articulation. So with this particular one, we have long, staccato, swells, swells medium, and swells long. So let's see what those sound like. So we already heard the long, so that's this one here, right? Staccato, swells, all right. Now, based off the instrument that you have, these will change. All right, so that's the articulations. Over here to the right, we have a couple of things that we can change up. You can change how the key switches are triggered. So for each one of these, this allows you to change the options for the selected trigger. Pretty much kept it on key switch. The activate is whether it's normal or latch. All right, down here you have the round robin section, these first four here. So then you also have an ability to modify the techniques here. Now they pretty much are all there, but if you only wanted something specific, you can utilize this and save it as a preset. So if you only wanted just the long and you didn't want these additional ones in here, you can most certainly modify that and change that and then save it as your own preset, right? So that comes in handy. Of course, down here you have the keyboard section. You can resize the plugin from here, and then there's an information output over here. All right, this button is to lock the technique settings, and then this allows you to change the key switch for that particular articulation. Moving on, this is the mixer section. So this first one, it says it's a full room mix formed from the tree and out triggers with a curated blend of spots used for luscious, rich passages. All right, so if you're looking for that sound, choose this one. The next one here is a tighter full mix, and these are done by Simon Rhodes, formed from the second tree and the out triggers with a curated blend of spots for a more faster and detailed sound. The next one is vintage, a unique pair of RM1B microphones combined with some classic ribbons to form a vintage scoring stage sound. Vintage 2, a pair of classic ribbon microphones placed by the conductor for a vintage scoring stage sound. Pop close, a mix of spot mics panned centrally to give a flexible image that isn't restricted to the orchestra layout. Then the pop room is a dedicated room pair located to represent the source centrally, used in conjunction with pop close. This one here. All right, so we have the second mixer screen. Here is the close mics, all spot mics summed together for the instruments being played. Tree mic is a Deca tree formed. Abbey Road's finest trio of classic valve omnidirectional microphones, the basis of your rich sound. All right, so that's the tree by itself instead of a mix. Then you have a second tree, which is a tighter, closer Deca tree for faster, more detailed material. Then finally, you have the ambient mic. It's a pristine pair of small diaphragm omnidirectional microphones to the rear of the room for balanced ambience. Your out triggers, a pair of omni microphones used in conjunction with either the tree to obtain a wider image and pin the back desk in place. Let me read that again. The out triggers, a pair of omnidirectional microphones used in conjunction with either tree to obtain a wider image and pin the back desks in place. And then you have the spill, which is a sum of spot microphones from sections not being played, useful for adding realism. I'm gonna have to dabble with that. And it tells you, simple mixer, change to the simple mixer where the options are reduced, but the sound is the same, from simple to advanced, and then global and single technique switcher. Control if the mixer is changing the global mix or just the mix of a specific technique. Interesting. Okay, so you can actually have different mixer settings for each of these articulations, or in this case they're called techniques, right? All right, so then the close and spot microphones, you can actually make them into mono or you can do a extra wide on that. Double click to reset, and down here you can do a pan for the entire instrument. And then finally, this is the same section here that you have access to when you're here. So if I wanted to change the reverb and do it down there, I can do it down there or do it up here all in one fell swoop. All right, and that's it. That's all that's included with the plugin. It's very simple, but it's flexible. All right, so what did I do with Abbey Road 1? And there you have it. Let me look at some of the stuff that we did in here, right? This is the full orchestra, right? So that was what we were playing in the beginning. Just a full, everybody playing at once. And as you can see down here, this is the modulation. And if you notice, the dynamics is increasing. Right? The drum section kind of just threw something together, man. It's not like it's, you know, you're making beats in here. But it's useful, right? So we utilized that quite well. This section here, this was where I had the most fun at, right? Really got that slam sound. I had fun with this part here, and this would have been the end, but I ended up doing a little bit more. And we switched it over. Tremolo. All right. So if I go back, watch the articulation when it gets to this point. Yeah, it changes. And then we increase slightly the dynamics. The short notes do not respond to the dynamics. They respond to velocity. So let's see here. If I go to our long string here and I change this to spizzicato. That's all velocity right there. This doesn't make a difference. Okay. Now where it does make a difference actually is in the drums. So with the drums, velocity is there, but dynamics is as well. And I did take advantage of that in one particular part. And so then after we did the string pad part here, let's see. Wow, this is my favorite part. That's it, man. That's my review of Abbey Road 1 by Spitfire Audio. You can pick this up at spitfireaudio.com. This thing is gorgeous, man. As a scratch pad for a composer who is working with a real orchestra, it gets to the point. It's simple. It doesn't get in the way. These things were recorded in Abbey Road Studio. So you know that their reputation is world renowned, and the equipment and the gear that these guys have to record this kind of stuff is phenomenal, right? Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section. If there is something you would like to see me review, let me know and I'll try to get my hands on it if I don't already have it. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you leave a like. If you like the video, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And if you subscribe, make sure that you hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos. Outside of that, you've been watching Yish in your ear. Stay tuned. What?